Oh man, I hate Mondays.
Nah, man, it's Tuesday.
Wait. What day is it?
You know what day it is? Tuesday. Brewsday, Tuesday.
Oh, fuck yeah. Grab a cold one. It's Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar and Six Pack Store. Here's DreZ and Big Nate.
Mine's going to take a little
Gotcha.
extra. Yeah, it's got some extra protection on here. I got to get this off. It is Brewsday Tuesday, brought to you by the Cellar Restaurant and Six Pack Store in downtown Blacksburg. My name is DreZ, and I'm back from across the seas. There was a little tab thing that was supposed to make this a little easier.
It did not.
There
you go.
Now I got that part off. Now I got to get the bottle cap off. Thankfully, as part of something I got on the trip that's pretty awesome. Check this out. My sweet new belt, black leather. And you think that's like for a airplane belt buckle? Well, you'd be right. But that is a bottle cap opener on the clip though. So let's give this a shot. This is my first time.
That is better than Batman's utility belt. Where do you put your shark repellent?
Wham, bam. Check that out. Sweet new belt I got.
That's a cool belt.
When I was in Berlin, it was an early birthday present from my BB. So thank you for that.
I like that.
So yeah, that honestly was pretty much that was probably the best souvenir I got. I guess is that a souvenir when it's just something actually practical and awesome?
Yes.
All right. Well,
and I think all souvenirs should be practical and awesome.
Yeah, not all of them are. I got a couple other souvenirs that aren't so much so, and we might show those off.
Do you know how many Brew Through t-shirts I have that I never wear? A lot. Yeah. The in-laws always like, come on, you got to get something from Brew Through, and I never wear the shirts, and I feel guilty about it, but not that guilty. I mean, they pressure you. It's like a whole family thing. Everyone has Brew Through shirts.
I don't have a single one. I've actually never been to.
My favorite part about Brew Through is going to like the one that's actually a store and then drinking while you shop. So they're all looking for their t-shirts, and then I'm just standing there in the corner drinking a beer.
That's a good way to do it. No Brew Throughs over in Europe that I went to. So I went to Berlin first and then went to Prague. So we'll get to Prague beer later. But first, a couple Berlin breweries that I went to. I just popped from Lemke. I don't know. First things first, I didn't learn any.
You have to shout it. I'm pretty sure. It's
Lemke.
German.
Lemke. Berlin. I don't know. Whatever. Either way, this is their Dolio, which is an imperial stout, French oak barrel aged, coming in at 12%. This beer should be pretty damn good. We did go to this brewery. In fact, we were trying to go to this brewery, couldn't find it. Tried to go to another brewery. It was closed. So then we were just like wandering, and I saw once, I was like, well, there was a place that definitely looks open. We went back to it. It turned out that was actually the brewery, not the place that we thought was the brewery that was closed. So it actually worked out. But like a lot of breweries and beer in Berlin, it's not exactly my style. A lot of lagers over there. Dark lagers in particular, you start to just accept it, and that's just what's normal.
Back to life there.
Also, a lot of, as you would imagine, Berliner Weiss. Also, not really my style. BB enjoyed a few of those, but this beer, this whole line of like aged stuff, whatever, it was in bottles, and on Untapped had much better ratings. This is like a 4 something on Untapped. Everything else I was drinking was like a 3.5. So I was excited to bring this back and try it. So we'll see how this one goes. Over there, that brewery, however, is a different story.
I'm really good at German, guys. First, WIACEK is my guess. And if I were to guess on the translation, probably First Watch. But again, I'm just guessing.
Your guess is as good as mine.
It's Gold Imperial. And you know what? It's unfair because they're all like by nature bilingual, but we don't bother to learn the language.
No.
It's a gold, or it's called Gold. It's an imperial stout with coffee and coconut. And something that I noticed like right off the bat that I'm a big fan of that you don't get here in the States is an ingredients list. I've cracked your code. If I like this, I can make this at home. Doesn't tell you the quantities, but a little trial and error. I can figure that all out. It's a 10% ABV and vegan friendly.
Well, that's good to know. At least you can read certain things on the bottle. Yeah, I don't know. Usually, we like to read the little spiel on the bottles, but that would be an embarrassment to me and the German language for what's on this one. However, you're right. It does have certain little, no, I don't even know what these words mean. I guess this must be like IBUs, 70. I think this is perhaps it says 29p, but I don't know what these means.
This also has the canned on date and best before date, which is cool.
This has a date. I'm assuming it was canned. Oh no, but I don't know, because you got to remember they do the numbers differently.
I was gonna say, but this is written American style. This was a collab with WeldWorks Brewing. And,
Interesting.
5 Elephant Coffee Roastery.
So I went to a number of breweries in Berlin, as well as beer bars and whatnot. And I went to Brewdog. There was a Brewdog location there, and they had bottles to go, and it wasn't all their stuff. Brewdogs will have some guest taps or whatever. I was looking at all their bottles to go, and they had a beer from that brewery. It was like a 4.2. Stand out, obviously the best of all the beer, but they had it on their they were Untapped verified venue, so they had it as if they were there, but I didn't actually see the can. I asked about it. They're like, no, we're out of that. Then we go from there to a McKellar brew. I guess it was like a tap house kind of a thing. And these guys, they had a Berlin location. They're based. I think what was it? They're another European country. They're based out of, I don't know. Is it Denmark?
Yeah,
I think it's Denmark. I think something like that.
That sounds right.
But either way, they had a couple beers from that brewery that were amazing. And I've been used to the typical German beers, breweries, all the beers on tap everywhere. It's the lagers. It's but those were like, they had IPAs that were like the IPAs I'm used to having. So I'm like, and I heard from multiple people. The guy told me, he's like, that's the beer you're looking for. That's the brewery. He's like, it's a little bit of a trek from, city center or whatever, but if you can make it, do it. So the next day I did it. Me and Hank, my father-in-law, left the ladies to go shopping. We went on a little road trip, taking I don't even know what they call it, their version of the public transit. Yeah, the tube or whatever. And first we went to something on Atlas Obscura. You know about Atlas Obscura, right? If you're going somewhere you've never been, look up on Atlas Obscura to see what cool, weird stuff might be worth doing. So we went to a old tram station that after the war got, and basically all the tram lines were destroyed and stuff.
Yeah.
So they had this huge building where they used to store the trams. It was pointless. So it got turned into a classic and just supercar storage place to have them worked on, and just you can store your car. And yeah, it's free to just go in there and look at all these ballin' cars. They had a Countach in there. They had a Pantera, which was freaking awesome, and just tons of classic cars and all this sort of stuff. So
I always forget about the Pantera.
Yeah, there's one over. Duncan's got one over at their spot in Christiansburg.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
That's
the first Pantera I've ever seen in person. Was over.
Yeah,
there.
I've never seen one in person.
Same thing, free to go tour, and it's frankly maybe even a more impressive collection than what they had over there, but totally different because it's a lot of European stuff.
Yeah,
you know? Actually, there's a lot of European stuff over at Duncan. But so we did that, and then we go to the brewery, and I'm a cheap ass, and I don't want to pay the $10 a day to have my phone working with normal days. So you need Wi-Fi. So luckily, Wi-Fi is pretty readily available. But you think, okay, I'll just look at Google Maps to find whatever. We had to take the scenic route to look for the brewery, and we're walking, and I'm not seeing anything. And then it's next, it says that we passed it. We asked some people. They're like, we don't know anything about a brewery. So. And I've made this mistake before. I went online to see what time they opened and everything. The spot that we went to it's the brewery. There's no tap room or nothing like that. So
It's just the brewery.
it's just the brewery. So I'm like, oh
bunch of brewery
man.
workers confused. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell are you doing here?
It's like ring the doorbell, you know, and some guy comes with this big suit. And I'm
You
like,
better have
"Oh,
my
man."
hops.
So, but luckily the guy was like, well, I was like, do you guys do you have any beer here that we can get? He was like, well, you can order online and then pick it up here. I'm like, you got any Wi-Fi that I can hop on? He's like, hang on a second. And he went and grabbed this other guy that brought us in and just basically sat there with like an iPad and was like, we got this, and let me just pick and choose. And thankfully it was all singles. I was like, what do you have that's not cold yet? So I can bring that stuff back to the States. Colds. I was like, and what's cold that we can just drink, you know, here? So I got some cold ones for me and Hank. And then I was like, well, where's the nearest place we can drink these? He was like, you're in Berlin. Walk outside and drink it. So I was like, all right, don't got us twist. I had seen people drinking on the street. I wasn't too sure if that was
It's
cool
one of
or
those,
not.
so
but-
much conditioning that like you almost feel like you're getting away with something naughty.
Yeah, so, but that brewery is definitely to me the standout. We did go to a few other ones right next to our hotel. There was like half a block up. There was a brewery, so we actually went there the first night, and then we went again. I went again because I wanted to grab some beers to go, but the inside was closed. The outside was open. That I was able to get some cold beers from there to go, but the stuff I wanted to take, the specialty beers that I wanted to order, I had to get inside, but it was still closed. So I actually didn't end up getting that brewer. So I'm not even going to give them a shout out or anything.
So I do have a question. Does your accent get the mileage in Germany that it does in the UK?
No,
No.
nobody cares. Well, it's also, Berlin.
It's a tourist destination. They're used
Exactly.
to it,
Berlin
yeah.
and Prague, they're used to that. Where I was going in like Scotland, it was more rare, more of a standout. But all right, so let's talk Berlin a little bit. It was weird because you're walking around and you're seeing all these like historic, old school looking buildings. And we did a walking tour, and it confirmed what I thought was like, these are all just like replicas or rebuilt because all this stuff got destroyed in World War II. Everything. Apparently there are, if I remember correctly, there were 3 or maybe 4 buildings that remain standing. Everything else got blown to smithereens, and they had to just rebuild. So it was kind of weird. Like, it was like, this is all fake, or it's not. It's there.
We had it
It's like,
perfect the first time, rebuilt it exactly the way it was.
So that was a little bit funny. The other thing that also was a standout to me of Berlin is a lot of graffiti. I mean, everywhere there was just graffiti. And they had some of the good graffiti that's just like, oh, that's beautiful, that's awesome. But just the dumb, just like crappy spray paint, just tags, that kind of put me off a bit. And it made you just feel like, oh, am I in a bad area of Berlin or something? But it was everywhere.
Growing up, spending a lot of time in the DC area, it's something that I always like. When you see good graffiti, you take note of it, and you kind of like, there's that little like robot in downtown Radford on Main Street that's like up above the. I always love seeing that, but yeah, there is to a certain extent. Like, I hate the one that drives me absolutely nuts is like tag artists who feel the need to just like their whole tag is just their name. Like, are you in 5th grade? Like, next you're gonna do that stupid S.
Now that if I saw that done really big and awesomely, I would actually probably appreciate that. But so we did the typical touristy stuff. We went to like Checkpoint Charlie, which for those that don't know, the wall. There is the wall in Berlin, which there's a long section of it that's still standing, and then throughout the whole city, if you look down just at the street, every now and then you'll cross. There's just like a marking of where the wall was, just sort of bricks, so that's kind of cool. And, so we did that. And Checkpoint Charlie is the spot that was the US's, I guess, crossing point of the wall. So we went and saw that. We went into the tour of a bunker, which was one of the buildings that survived.
Yeah,
it did. I think we did bomb
bunker,
it.
damn well better.
Yeah. Well, the ceiling of the bunker was 6 meters thick. So that's, 12 feet thick, I guess. No, 18 feet thick.
Phew.
And apparently the US did drop a bomb on it and it got about 3 meters. It blew. So
Oh,
if we maybe dropped 2 right there, we might
Yeah.
have broke through. But it was interesting seeing the bunker. It also had a layout of what Hitler's bunker looked like and his room, where he was. Learned a lot about Hitler. Didn't realize that there were 44 attempts on his life, and obviously none of them worked. It was him that that did himself in. And the actual bunker that he killed himself in, it's bunker, it's underground anyways,
Yeah.
but it's been destroyed. And essentially there's no monument, nothing there. It's just under a parking
Yeah.
lot because they don't want to,
yeah. I'm shocked that they're, from my understanding, they kind of try and not talk about that much. So I'm shocked that there is that much historical tourism surrounding it.
Well, on the walking tour that we did, he did take us to that parking lot, but we were going to go to that
This
area.
is the
anyway.
lot.
Everything is over there. Interesting enough, the parking lot that, is essentially a non, whatever, because that's where Hitler died. Literally right across the street is where they did the Holocaust memorial thing.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, I guess slightly
It's-
ironic or
It's
weird.
kind of cool. I like that.
Mm.
Is it the parking lot for the Holocaust Memorial?
I mean,
Or is it like the
I think
parking
it's- I
lot for
think
like a Kinko's?
no, it's for like an apartment building, I think, right next to it or something. So,
Good.
Um,
Good. He doesn't deserve nice things.
so we saw all that. We went to an ice bar. Never been to one of those before. Have you?
No.
So
Was it cold?
it was cool. I mean, it was an entire bar made of ice, as you would imagine. The bar, and they had all these little figurines, ice sculptures and stuff you could take pictures with and whatnot. The glass that you got to drink your beer out of was made of ice. So that was kind of cool, until it's got melted through, and
I was
my
gonna say,
beer started
Yeah,
dripping.
like you got to
But
drink fast.
that worked out great though, because I started to drink it and I got about a few sips down, and then noticed it was dripping, so I was like, oh, let me take a couple more chugs and then go ask for a new glass and a glass of beer. So I almost got a free half a beer out of that, so that worked out fairly well.
The thing about that intrigues me the most is I don't know if you're like me. There are certain things that just kind of give me a visceral reaction, like nails on a chalkboard or cereal with water. Ice and a beer would give me that same reaction, but your whole cup was ice.
Yeah, that's different. It was essentially kind of like when you get a mug out of a freezer.
Okay.
It was similar to that, I guess, and actually not. I guess yeah, pretty, because it's not ice in your beer and ice is melting. You're in a freezer. That's not melting.
Okay.
So it's just keeping it even more super cold. And of course, you had gloves to hold it, so you weren't.
Did they provide gloves, or did you have to bring?
Yeah,
your own?
no. They gave you gloves and they gave you like a jacket.
This is your drinking kit.
It was, and you would every half hour they'd cycle through with like a group. So they knew that you weren't going to be in there longer than a half hour, because everybody's like, all right, I think I'm done here. You get 2 drinks while you're in there, and you're just down, and it just.
So your 2 drinks while you're in there, are those included in the cost of admission? So you
Yes.
basically just pay a flat fee, and then they've got these.
You actually get 3 drinks. You pay a flat fee, and you get 1 drink at the regular bar, kind of like while you're waiting, and you can pick
to
through,
warm you up.
a cocktail menu, one of their signature cocktails, which I got, and it was disgusting. Or you can get like a beer, and then you go in, and then once you go in, you can choose between either a beer or like a little shooter kind of a deal. And you
Gotcha.
can get 1 or 2 of each, two of one, or one of each, or whatever. So that was pretty cool. Literally cool. And then one of the other big things that we did in Berlin was the Arctic Monkeys
Yes.
were playing.
I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, so the Arctic Monkeys are playing, and BB says she wants to go. And I'm looking at tickets, over here, trying to see what's what. It's sold out. I'm looking on the secondary market, and they are quite expensive. And I'm like, I'm not trying to pay this. I'll just do it. And this has worked for us in the past when it says it's sold out and the secondary market's saturated and expensive. You just go and scalp your way in. So that was the game plan. So we go, and I'm still kind of keeping a day of. I'm looking to see if sometimes the prices go down online. And I did see some seats that they got better seats. They were a little cheaper. And hindsight, I should have grabbed them because when we got to the venue to try and scalp our way in, we saw multiple people holding up signs, but everybody was just looking for tickets. There was 0 people selling tickets outside the venue. It was a legit sellout. So we just hop in a nearby bar to get Wi-Fi, scramble through the secondary, found some on StubHub. They were like pretty high up seats, pretty high price, but it got us in the door. And we got to see the Arctic Monkeys, which was pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, that's a killer show, and then go to a show in Berlin. That's
and again, like, I mean,
would be a bucket
it was
list
the
item.
Mercedes-Benz Arena. I think it was a 77,000 venue. And then I think that's the normal seats. Now you got to imagine it's not all full because of the seats that aren't used behind the band, but then the floor is open. So it might even have been more than that. I don't know, but it was sold out, man. It was packed. So pretty awesome there, getting to go see a live band over there, which we'll go ahead and play some Arctic Monkeys here in just a second. But first, I think we should untap these beers, man. How are you liking I already forgot. Gold.
The gold. It's Imperial Stout with coffee and coconut. This thing is dangerous. It's like drinking a Girl Scout cookie.
It was up there in ABV too, wasn't it?
Yeah, 10%.
Yeah,
that's why it's so dangerous. Like you can't really detect it that much. It's damn delicious. I think coconut's an underrated flavor, particularly when paired with coffee. I think you're gonna hate it.
Really?
I confidently believe that
it's too
may not be your jam, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.75.
All right, 4.75, not too shabby of a rating on the Untapped scale, which if you're friends with me on Untapped, you saw I was drinking a lot of beer when I was over in Europe, so you might even had an idea of what I was doing and whatnot. But DreZ Drinks is my handle. Big Nate Danger across from me. The Dolio, I want to say I guess it's Dolio, Berlin. So this beer, this is much better than any of the other stuff that I had at this brewery, and 12%, a nice hearty ABV. Usually I would save these beers for probably the last segment, but we're going to kind of do it reverse because I'm doing it in trip order. I went to Berlin first, then Prague. We'll do Prague beers here coming up. But this is delicious, man. I mean, definitely a nice hearty dark beer. The lacing is how you would expect. The malt is delicious. Nice and malty. I know it said French oak barrels. I'm not too sure what was maybe in those barrels. I would like to know that, but
cognac. That's going to be my guess.
Maybe. You might be right. Either way, this is good. This is, again, one of the best beers. And I'm going to give it a 4.75 as well. I do have another of this kind of series that I'm saving for the next B3S Who's Bag Bottle Share that we might be doing here in a couple weeks. So here's what we're doing. We're going to play some Arctic Monkeys. We're going to come back, and now we're going to drink some Prague beers. It's a Brewsday Tuesday. I'm back. Surprisingly, not jet lagging as bad as I would have thought.
Shocks the hell out of me.
And of course, there was the big run, so we can delve into. We can talk a little bit about that eventually too. So we'll come back. We'll drink some Prague beers. It's Brewsday Tuesday here on 105.3 The Bear. Stick around.